Hey there, and thanks for joining us on GamePoints episode 84. I am, as always, your host, David Brown. Joining me today is...
David Smith. That's me.
And
That's who
we
I am.
are we are here to talk about last week in gaming news. We have a bunch of controversy to get over. We're going to talk about the Gearbox and G2A situation. We have some Scorpio tech specs. We're going to get into Atlus's weird streaming policy that's kind of like enforcing an embargo on people that really didn't sign an embargo at all. As always, thank you for joining us here live at Twitch TV/GamePoints. We do try to stream every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Unless we go on back-to-back vacations.
Yeah. Beesweaves, thank you for joining us. I do see you in there. And if you are also in the chat, feel free to join in at any time. We try to be pretty audience participatory here. If you have any questions, comments, or if you want to bring anything up, we'll see if we can't get to it. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and all that stuff down below. And also do the same here and follow and go to the Facebook page and the Twitter and all that other stuff that every other game has to do out there. My microphone is showing up on your thing, David. So let me give 1 second. There we go. I could see my microphone on your screen, so I wanted to fix that real fast.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
But before we get into any of that, and as I suddenly have to fix my headset because the power just died, so give me 1 second as I plug this directly into the computer.
So since this guy has no idea how to run any kind of show, the big thing that we're going to talk about besides Scorpio news, we're going to start with the Gearbox G2A Total Biscuit shenanigans. So whenever he gets around to it, I don't know what he's talking about. The big thing is, if you know who G2A is they are a video game key reseller. You back? You here?
Yeah, I'm back. Bees Weaves, I'm seeing that you're saying because my Switch dock isn't outputting sound through the HDMI cord. I don't know what you were referring to there. I missed what that comment was. Sorry.
It's because he was here. You were saying hi. He's here because his Switch doesn't work.
Oh, okay. Anyway. Fair enough. Anyways, before we get into any of the news, one thing I do want to ask real quick, David, is have you seen that Thor trailer yet?
Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Doesn't that look
all about that amazing? It looks like they're finally going to get the Marvel Universe into space, which is fucking finally, because we're the Guardians of
I was going to say Guardians of the Galaxy didn't count.
More importantly, did you see Dr. Ian Malcolm?
I love how in a world with a Norse gods and a Hulk smashing shit up, Jeff Goldblum shows up on set and goes, "Can I just play Jeff Goldblum?"
Yeah.
Because he's not even in costume. That's just what he looks like normally. Anyways, enough of all that. Let's get into what you actually care about, and that is gaming news. And the first topic that we have, and boy, is it going to be a big one, so hang on, is the whole Gearbox G2A publishing Bulletstorm bullshit that happened over the past few days. What do you know about this story so far, David?
Well, I started covering it when you were taking your headphones off, but you didn't listen because your headphones weren't on, so...
Well, sorry. Let's start
from the beginning. The big thing is, a while ago, Gearbox announced they would be bringing out like a collector's edition of Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, partnered with G2A. Now, as we've covered on the show several times, G2A is shady at best. And I have to use air quotes because those dudes don't like it when you talk about how they actually are. But they're a key reseller. That's the thing that they do. It's a thing they're known for. They pretend that they're super legit, have all the same policies and practices of like an Amazon or an eBay, but no one's really seeing it. The internet is well aware of their antics, and Gearbox got a shit ton of backlash.
Yeah. This
like instantly. Yeah. People got pissed.
This all started last week when Gearbox announced that the collector's edition of the Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition was going to be published and produced by G2A. Or not published, but produced by them. And like you said, G2A is shady at best, outright fucking criminal at worst. And the backlash was almost immediate. People were saying, hey, you know what this company does, right? You know they're a fucking fence. Newsflash, G2A is a fucking fence. And the internet was pissed, as the internet normally gets. But both G2A and Gearbox were remarkably silent up until a very popular YouTuber streamer by the name of Total Biscuit, also real name John Bain, called them out and more or less said the following here. Let me see if I can bring up that Twitter page. All right. No Twitter. Awesome.
He said, and I'm paraphrasing, "Fuck that shit, I'm out."
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, that's exactly what he said here. If I can bring this up, I wonder if all my other windows got fried too when the reset happened. But yeah, he said, hey, I'm not, it's a shame to see that Gearbox has teamed up with G2A. He has been railing against G2A for years, talking about how they're crooked, the horrible things that they do, that they essentially encourage piracy because they make money off of it. And as such, he will be boycotting all Gearbox games while they're working for him. Well, lo and behold, suddenly they respond to that because I love them or hate them. Total Biscuit has a massive fucking audience. Like, it's big.
Oh, yeah. He's popular.
And Gearbox reached out to him. Gearbox finally responds to this. They reached out to him to discuss the situation, and Total Biscuit details what was going on there. Let's see if I can bring this up here. Here we go. This is his stance on the entire thing. He goes on to talk about how Gearbox asked for him to, quote, provide proof of what he was saying, that they're a crooked company, and that they're concerned since they've received significant blowback on social media and wanted to know if he could back up his claims. To which then Total Biscuit showed Gearbox a number of, quote, statements, videos, and articles on G2A's various bad practices for years. Because remember, Total Biscuit has been covering these guys for a while now, so he had just a plethora of information you could throw at them.
Oh, dude, maybe he showed him GamePoints episode 30 or whatever when we were all mad at G2A.
Hey, maybe. Gearbox said, oh shit, we didn't know this was going on with them, and requested a conference call with Total Biscuit.
Which is hilarious. Can we talk about that for a second? The fact that this YouTuber is legitimately famous enough that he throws a bunch of information to Gearbox, who's a major software development company, and they're like, we're going to make a conference call with you because you seem like you know more than we do somehow, and it seems serious. So yeah, I thought that was kind of awesome, actually.
Let's be honest here. YouTubers pull in more videos and have bigger influence than any gaming media site. Just flat out.
Mm-hmm.
Except maybe IGN, but even then, there's a good chance they overshadow those guys. Long story short, though, Gearbox said, oh, wow, G2A is fucked up, and put out a response. The response, which you can see right here, which I'm more or less going to read in its entirety. So bear with me, please. Gearbox Publishing heard loud and clear that the concerns voiced by Total Biscuit, John Bain. Gearbox was then provided with a lot of documentation on the subject, after which John was gracious enough to spend time across the last 2 days with our head of publishing, Steve Gibson, to put together a proposal and a deadline for G2A to act upon. Point 1. Before Bulletstorm Steam launch, G2A makes a public commitment to this. Within 30 days, G2A Shield, also known as Customer Protection Fraud, is made free instead of a separate paid subscription service within terms offered by other major marketplaces. All customers who spent money deserve fraud protection from a storefront. To that end, all existing G2A Shield customers are notified by April 14th that fraud protection services are now free and they will no longer be charged for this. What Gearbox is essentially saying here is that your fucking fraud prevention service that you charge people for needs to be free within 30 days. Great.
Because, like it is on eBay.
Yeah, or in fucking everywhere else. Because let's face it, G2A Shield, if this was in the fucking 30s in Chicago, it would be known as a protection racket. That's G2A coming in and going, wow, lovely development team you have here. It would be a shame if someone started, pirating all of your shit and selling all those keys on the gray market. Perhaps, you give us some money, that won't happen. What other site charges to prevent fraud on their own site? Next bullet point.
I don't think LimeWire did that.
Next bullet point. Before Bulletstorm Steam launch, G2A makes a public commitment to this. Within 90 days, G2A will open up a web service or API to certified developers and publishers to search for and flag for the immediate removal of keys that are fraudulent. This access will be free of charge and not require payment by the content holders. Similar to Shield, but instead of on the consumer side, this is going to be on the developer side, where they can search all the databases that G2A has of their keys and go, nope, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake, stolen, stolen, stolen. Right now, with G2A, I believe you have to sign a contract with them and pay to have a certain number of keys given to them or something along those lines. I'm kind of fuzzy on the details.
You have to like give them a certain number of keys. Like you need to actually give them your shit for free, or however it works
so they can
out.
vet them. I believe it's like you send us the list of keys that you think are fraudulent, and we will vet them. Of course, no guarantee that they won't flip those keys later.
Yeah,
next bullet point.
Stupid.
Before Bulletstorm Steam launch, G2A makes a public commitment to this. Within 60 days, implement throttling for non-certified developers and publishers at the title, user ID, and account payable levels for fraud flagging process. This is to protect content providers from having large quantities of stolen goods flipped on G2A before they can be flagged. What this essentially is that if you sign up with an account on G2A and you never went through and actually, I could be reading this wrong. But what this sounds like to me, and by no means am I positive on this, is that it's designed to keep the people who suddenly flip like a couple thousand keys of one game on the store within 30 minutes of getting them, and they just all sell out real quick. This is designed to slow that down so a developer can go, wait a minute. This is weird. This is fucked up. Let's have some time to fix this before there's 1,000+ keys sent out somewhere. I could be wrong on that one. I'm kind of fuzzy on exactly what that's saying. I am not a lawyer by any means. Next bullet point. Before Bulletstorm Steam launch, G2A makes a public commitment to this. Within 30 days, G2A restructures its payment system so that customers who wish to buy and sell legitimate keys are given a clear, simple fee structure that is easy to understand and contains no hidden or obfuscated charges. Join the ranks of other major marketplaces.
Gearbox. That's my favorite line in this whole thing, by the way.
Essentially they're saying, fucking step up your game. Everyone else does this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Gearbox Publishing won't support a marketplace that is unwilling to make these commitments and execute on them. Essentially, 4 demands. What do you think, David? Do they sound reasonable to you?
Dude, I love these demands because they're legitimately the things that we've been complaining about that G2A does this whole time. Because it literally hits each bullet point of the fucked up shit they do, which is just grab keys from wherever the fuck, sell them wholesale, or I guess whatever made up price they want to, so that they make a bunch of money. Someone gets fucked over. I mean, allegedly half their keys are bought with stolen credit cards in the first fucking place. So you don't even know if the key you're buying is going to work within 30 days because there's been cases of people buying games from G2A and then losing their access to that game because it turns out it wasn't theirs in the first place.
Yeah.
And they're out money and fucked.
Just basic market protections that every other fucking site has would eliminate all this.
Dude, you know, if I buy something on Amazon and it never shows up, I get my money back?
Yeah.
You know, if I send somebody something on PayPal or if I send somebody on eBay, my part never shows up, then they can make a claim and I can make a claim. We can figure it out. G2A does nothing.
This shit is all basic. I mean, it is basic. Every other, they're right with that fucking last quote there. Join the rest of the marketplaces, right, or whatever it was to paraphrase. This is the most basic of fucking shit. And what was awesome about this is that it is going to highlight exactly how fucked up G2A is, because you can probably guess what the response to that was. But before we get to all that, where's my notes here? Here we go. So, Gearbox gave G2A 24 hours not to meet these demands. You saw the demands had like 60 days and 90 days and 30 days attached, but 24 hours to at least respond to them. Say, hey, this is a good idea, or no, this is fucking dumb.
Literally, we are considering the matter and we will approach this situation, blah, blah, blah.
Just a response to it. They didn't. Now, the rest of the story is going to come via Waypoint by Patrick Klepek. Thanks for compiling all this, Patrick. I appreciate it. But essentially, 24 hours goes by, and Gearbox says, well, you didn't respond, so, like the headline here says, Gearbox backs out a Bulletstorm deal with shady key reseller G2A. 24 hours goes, they didn't respond, so Gearbox put out the following statement. As there has been no public movement for G2A by the time Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition launched now on PC, Gearbox Publishing would be doing their part not to directly support a marketplace that did not make the new public commitment to protecting customers and developers as requested by Gearbox Publishing. They fucking pulled out. They're like, all right, well, you didn't respond, so we're fucking out. Now, what's important about this is that this couldn't have been some inconsequential sum of money. I mean, yeah, it's Bulletstorm. This is a game that's been out for a while. This is only the collector's edition, so not too many people are going to buy it. But there's still a good chunk of money for them. And for G2A to just kind of ignore it and throw it away shows you how much money they make by not implementing the changes that Gearbox, and for the most part, most of the PC community, is demanding of them to make. Do you see what I'm saying here, David?
Yeah, well, and the annoying thing is the fact that they didn't respond to any of it. They're like, okay, this is a good point, or that's a good point. They literally just ignored it and said, well, we didn't get Bulletstorm. Maybe we'll summon the next guy that comes along.
Yeah, that I think that speaks louder than anything else in this story. It helps solidify the fact that G2A knows they make money off fraud. They know that they're running a protection racket. I mean, this just solidifies that, in my opinion. Now, G2A did eventually respond to this today. A couple days afterwards, they released a statement on Monday. Once again, this is from Waypoint. Thanks, Patrick Lepic. Controversial key seller G2A hits back at Gearbox and Total Biscuit claims. Essentially, what happened is that G2A sent out this massive statement to multiple websites. I can't find the statement itself, unfortunately, but here are some highlights from the statement that they broke down here on Waypoint. The quote leading off is that, quote, some developers and a few influential YouTubers, with John Bain at the forefront, would like to spread an image of G2A.com as a place which exists from being intermediary in selling illegally acquired keys. This depiction is far removed from reality. Essentially, they're calling out Total Biscuit, saying he thinks we're a fence, and we're nothing to do with a fence, despite the fact that you refuse to make changes that would, stop you from being a fence. They claim that Gearbox requests are already part of G2A with the following statements.
So fucked up.
Yeah, they went through, and this statement is apparently pages and pages from what the article suggests. I just kind of ripped out the bullet points they mentioned in the article here, and we'll feed them back to you. 1. G2A responds that Gearbox asks that their Shield service, which says for guaranteed and safe online transactions, becomes free. G2A's website pushes G2A Shields as a security measure, but it mostly seems to get you 10% cash back and Sutter's lines and customer service queues. G2A said its service already provides what Gearbox desires and that it won't make G2A Shield for free. Essentially, they're saying...
No.
Yeah. I kind of mixed two paragraphs up there, and I apologize. It's a lot of text here.
Yeah, they said no. They said, that's cute. You guys want Shield to be free? Well, it turns out that Shield can also get you cash back on your purchases, and it's kind of like a bonus to have Shield.
Yeah,
we're not going to do that.
To sell Shield.
And even though the core concept of this fucking thing is that you make the safety and online guarantee portions of Shield free, like any other goddamn online retailer, we're going to take it to mean that you want our little bonus 10% cash back to be free as well, and we're just going to ignore the entire thing and not even mention the topic at hand because we are just fucking dickbags.
Another point that they go on to mention is that G2A is already willing to take down fraudulent keys if a developer provides ample evidence. Essentially, the burden of proof is on you when you fucking know your shit's stolen. The fuck?
Hey, if your shit gets stolen, then you should send us a list of keys that you think were stolen, and we'll check them against our database to see if we sold them.
Yeah, with no guarantee that those keys won't be flipped and resold. I don't know of a single other marketplace that does that, by the way. Alternatively, they can sign up for G2A's Direct program, where G2A signs contracts with developers that provide them access to G2A's database. Essentially, this is the developer side of Shield. Pay us, and we'll give you what you want.
Yep.
Fuck off. Also, finally at the end, in response to their changing payment system, so customers who wish to buy and sell legitimate keys are given a clear, simple, free structure that is easy to understand. That last bullet point there from Gearbox. G2A says, hey, we have 13 million clients, and as such, that means we have a transparent business. What?
Yep.
How do those two things...
There's no way that an illegitimate business can have 13 million customers.
Yeah, not at all. They are literally saying, well, we have 13 million customers, so clearly we're on the up and up. No, you're not. You have 13 million customers because people are going on there and buying stolen goods because you offer them at a fucking fire sale price. That's why you got 13 million customers. That's not because you're fucking upfront and clear about your shit. G2A, you are a fucking fence. I will say that until the cows come home. You are a fucking fence. You know you're a fucking fence, and people are starting to wake up to it. Thank fucking Christ. Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense.
GamePoints is brought to you by G2A.com.
What you need to start doing is, because G2A isn't going to change their ways. They're not. They make a shit ton of money doing this, and they don't fucking care. What you need to start doing is...
It's why people steal things.
Yeah. If you see a streamer with the G2A button down below, go, hey, you know what G2A does, right? If you see a YouTube channel that has brought to you by G2A.com, fucking go, hey, you know what these guys do, right? And point out how fucking shady these groups are. And if those streamers and YouTubers and all them are still doing deals with G2A, fucking take your money elsewhere.
Yeah.
G2A isn't listening, so you have to go after their advertisers, which are streamers and YouTubers and all that. And I'm grateful to Total Biscuit, John Bain, for calling them out publicly. I'm glad Gearbox listened, even though Gearbox is somewhat complicit in this to begin with, because they should have done their due fucking diligence into
still,
G2A.
Kudos to them for just pulling out.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Gearbox claims ignorance on G2A, and that might be true or not, but they are a big publisher. The onus is on them to do this fucking due diligence to begin with. And yeah, sure, I'm glad that they pulled out. I'm glad that they responded. But the deal shouldn't have even been happening to begin with. And
hey, anything that gets G2A being shady back in the limelight, I'm okay with, actually.
Yeah, the whole thing was just a mess, and it was tragic to see happen. And I'm not even necessarily happy with the response, because by the end of the day, Gearbox ends up looking like a hero, despite the fact that they should have not even made the deal to begin with, and G2A had a chance to fucking advertise all their shit. But baby steps, right? At least people are starting to wake up to it more and more. Anyways, let me take a look at chat here.
Well, as Beeswees has mentioned several times in chat, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Oh, is that what that means? I'm so fucking behind on the internet lingo, as it were.
Well, I mean, you just figured it out with your brain pan.
No, I can't. I'm doing multiple things at once, despite me babbling.
Dude, you know what else is going to be good at doing multiple things at once?
What is that, David?
The Microsoft Scorpio.
The Microsoft Scorpio.
Yeah, whatever. It's a thing.
Yeah, the other big news story that really isn't controversy, but it is big, is that Engadget and Digital Foundry got exclusive access to break down what the Scorpio's tech specs were. I'm going to be posting.
You know what my favorite part of this is?
What's that?
We now know more about the Scorpio than we do about the Switch.
And the Switch has been out for a while. We're not going to get into a deep dive on the tech specs here, because honestly, I don't think either one of us really know what like a teraflop is, for example. We have a middling understanding of hardware, but by no means are we the places you need to go if you want a direct hardware comparison. I will go ahead and bring up a small sheet of comparison links, but for the most part, if you want to read all these articles and watch the YouTube video, I will be posting them in the links down below here on the YouTube channel if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us on Twitch, too bad.
The Scorpio looks pretty dope for a console.
Yeah.
Numbers wise, just pure numbers wise. I mean, obviously, I don't know what the fucking thing looks like. We also didn't even know if it's going to be called Scorpio for sure.
Yeah, we don't know anything about like the only thing that we know right now are the tech specs.
So hold on, because in regards to the teraflops comment, Beesweaves mentions that it's a floppy Teen Titans character.
That's
fantastic.
Nice, actually.
David,
I
enjoy that.
My voice is tired from doing the G2A talk. Why don't you go ahead and lead the conversation here about what these are compared to other systems?
All right, y'all, we're going to talk about some nerdy shit. So now computers have this thing called a CPU. It's a central processing unit. What makes your computer do stuff, like actually do stuff, like run tasks and perform things. Now, the Scorpio is going to have 8 custom cores clocked at 2.3 gigahertz. Now, maybe on its own, that doesn't mean anything to you. But if you compare it to the old school Xbox One, which comes in with 8 cores at a 1.75, and the PS4 Pro, which comes with 8 cores at 2.1, you can see that Scorpio has the biggest number, which is pretty good. I mean, my computer has like 4.3, but we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, I do want to go ahead and preface this right now. Let me get off this. I want to adjust the camera as we talk here. Give myself the one, as it were.
Oh yeah.
PC users, we are one
You
of
don't.
you. This is not for us. This is not for you. This is for console players. I fully admit.
Whoa! I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
There are people that would like a Scorpio, but that's something I want to get into later.
Okay, we'll get into that later. But the PC
So,
Master Race guys, hey, trust me, I am fucking right there with you on the tower that Newer built, looking down upon the console peasantry. I know that these numbers don't sound impressive to us. The system isn't for us. There is a good chunk of people who love consoles because, let's face it, PC gaming has a lot of baggage that goes along with it as well. Hardware issues, compatibility issues, driver updates. For us, it's secondhand. For people who aren't into it, I get why they're not like it. So let's just let them have this, and we're going to talk about it, knowing that our rigs are more powerful than the Scorpio will ever be. David, would you like to resume with the GPU?
Okay, let's keep talking about stuff. All right, so now we're going to talk about the GPU. So this is the thing that actually pushes graphics out of the machine. So CPU does stuff, GPU does graphics. Exciting. So again, we can talk about how AMD won the console war because this is going to be another AMD part. So I'm going to start from the bottom and make my way up. So the Xbox One was running at a measly 12 compute units, which is 853 megahertz. Now the PS Pro has 36 at 911. That's a bigger number. That sounds pretty good. The Scorpio's got 40 at 1172, which is marginally impressive as long as you're not comparing it to like a GTX 1080 PC card, which has a GPU clock of 1607. And like,
hey, David, what did I say?
I'm sorry. We're talking about consoles. Let's do that. Okay. We're also going to talk about RAM. RAM is random access memory. That's what. Fuck. God, you can Google it. All right. I don't need to do this shit. PS4 Pro, 8 gigabytes at 218 gigs a second. Xbox One, 8 gigabytes at 68 gigs a second.
The key difference between the two is that the Xbox One runs on DDR3, which surprises me, actually. I didn't know it was DDR3. And the PlayStation 4 runs on DDR5. Essentially, 5 is better.
Yeah, numbers get bigger. I'm a sucker running DDR4, but whatever. Now, the Scorpio is going to have DDR5 again, like the PS4 Pro, but instead of 8, it has 12, and it's actually at 326 gigs a second, which ain't shabby.
I got
Not
16 bad. DDR5, but that's not here and there.
Yeah, anyway, let's talk about how it's got vapor chamber cooling, which sounds just like a fucking buzzword to me, but yeah,
that
vapor
does
chambers.
I put that on here because I wanted you to comment on it. I didn't know if you knew exactly what it was. I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Buzzwordy as fuck, man. If they just figured out if they threw the word vape in there, kids would get excited.
Yeah.
Also, it's got a fucking 1 terabyte hard drive, which at this day and age, if your console is going to be this bit-all, end-all, fuck-off thing, it's chump change.
Yeah, 1 terabyte standard now. I mean, I don't want to say it's standard, but it is standard.
I also think 1 terabyte sucks.
Are you rocking for 2 these days?
I mean, I don't want to talk about my computer, but...
All right, there is one thing on here that I think is key.
Yes, this is why I was saying don't just call this off as a console-only thing. This is the big thing. Now, this is the major complaint for the PS4 Pro. So if you're aware of the PS4 Pro, if you've used one, if you have one, you know that it can do 4K games, and it can output to your 4K TV, and it looks fucking awesome. And with the integrated services that are actually on the system, so if you have like Netflix or your Hulu on it, then you can get 4K video playback as long as it's from a streaming service. However, the PS4 Pro does not have a 4K UHD, Ultra HD Blu-ray drive in the machine. It only takes regular Blu-rays. So you'll only ever get 1080p Blu-rays out of your PS4 Pro. The Scorpio actually has a bona fide 4K UHD Blu-ray drive. Now we've gone up and down with the argument.
Yeah,
this
you
was
were bitching about this on PlayStation 4.
Biggest gripe with the PS4 Pro, and we talked about the major reason of the fact that Sony had not released their own 4K Blu-ray drive yet before the Pro came out, but I still think that was highly suspect. as their reasoning for not pushing it out. I know price was obviously a factor and some other shit, but that's what makes the difference. If you're only here for games, the PS4 Pro still has 4K, but if you actually want to use your console as a media machine, the Scorpio will kick the PS4 Pro up and fucking down the street.
Absolutely.
Now, we talked about a couple months ago the fact that the Scorpio and Xbox also got THQ or THX certified, and the fact that the audio outputs for Windows 10 and for the Windows 10 modified whatever version that the Xbox systems run on are going to be capable of outputting high definition audio. So for a pure video and audio experience, the Scorpio should be pretty fucking badass. Like in the realms of very, very goddamn expensive Ultra HD like Blu-ray players.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. They're definitely targeting a niche market by putting that in there because those things aren't necessarily cheap and it has to add to the cost of the system. But I think
if you have a giant fucking 4K TV and you want to watch some bomb-ass Blu-rays and you don't have a Blu-ray drive yet that'll do it, there's a Scorpio.
I think they're trying to separate themselves on the Pro because of that. No word on the final price. Rumor is it's going to be $500 when it comes out, but that could change. I would be surprised if it was $599. No word on what's going to be officially called. No date. No final look at the system, etc. This was essentially hardware specs only. Remember, I will be linking all these Eurogamer articles down in the chat below, or down in the description below on the YouTube page. Overall, yeah, the console's nice, but it is going to be hamstringed by the same restrictions the PlayStation 4 Pro has, and that's its demands to be compatible with the previous generation of games. This isn't a new console. It's a stopgap with a focus on 4K and 60 FPS. Now, awesome. 4K gaming at 60 FPS is still a chore even for PCs to do. And that this is being designed for that specifically means they can hit that with fewer overall requirements. And that's an impressive feat. I'm not going to say 4K 60 FPS isn't, because it is. I know I can't run that consistently yet, being the optimal word there. Ultimately, though, I don't care how powerful it is. I don't care if you have a $10,000 PC or the Nintendo Switch. Which is a slightly cheaper PC. Yeah, none of that hardware matters if you don't have the games for it. And Microsoft has not been producing the games for it. They've canceled a lot of their exclusives. Scalebound, for example, being one of the more recent ones. And everything that is on the console is now coming over to Windows as well. Dead Rising 4, Gears of War 2, or not Gears of War 2, Halo Wars 2, rather. Shit, I lost where I was going.
Now,
Dead Rising 4,
now here's
Halo
the thing,
Wars
though.
2,
Here's the thing.
Gears of War, all this stuff is coming to PCs. So I still have no reason to buy a Scorpio.
We don't want to get too caught up on all this. We just want to talk about the specs because we are going to talk about this a little bit more later. But the only thing I want to bring up is the fact that while Microsoft doesn't have the most first-party exclusive games for Xbox right now, if you have all of a sudden the most powerful console sitting out on the market, the third-party games that everyone gets are probably going to look and run better on your system.
Yes.
So if you open that up to all of the third parties, then you can kind of see maybe what their angle is. But I don't want to get too into that right now. We'll get more on that. We just wanted to get super nerdy and make you deal with the fact that we're talking about tech specs.
Yeah, so I would say my only concern with that is that the system itself is designed to be compatible with the old game, so a third party can't make something using 100% of the Scorpio because they're still anchored to the Xbox One. So,
and that is the issue, because since it's not a separate console, they can't build games from the ground up to use the whole Scorpio.
And this isn't a fanboy thing, by the way. The PlayStation 4 Pro is in the same fucking boat.
Yep. But PS4 Pro's got boost mode. Now, if you remember, there was actually an article where they were talking about how the Scorpio doesn't need a boost mode.
Yeah, the PlayStation 4 Pro kind of cheats at 4K.
No, I'm talking about boosting older games, because there's several games that haven't been...
and they're patching in like some HDR stuff into them.
Yeah, they actually make it so the older games that don't have PS4 Pro support kind of do to an extent. just by like resing them up just from the PS4. So the developer's not going in and putting a patch. The PlayStation actually does it. It's kind of similar to, if you remember with the PS2, the original that had the Emotion Engine in it, and you could backwards compatible your PS1 games, how there was that like smoothing features you could turn on so your PS1 games looked
right. I
more presentable.
I do remember that.
It's a similar kind of thing that's always on with the PS4 Pro.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, we'll learn more as E3 approaches, I'm sure. But that wasn't the only thing to come out this week. David, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, and that is actually